Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to your Akims out there in the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Brakatum. So, out here another week, another month, prophesying the downfall of Babylon the Great, of Esau Edom in the scriptures, of Basra, the high place of Esau Edom, and the least of the flock drawing everyone in as we are all waiting, because assassinations were carried out this last week, killing 2 people in both Beirut and Tehran. Well, we know that Beirut has technically responded, Nasrallah, because of one of the Hezbollah generals that was killed. But Iran is still awaiting their response, because like everything else, though, this happened on their soil. And we already know what the consequences was for the last one that was killed in Damascus governorate, in the Damascus countryside, So like everything else, though, the least of flock is drawing everyone in. So the men of war are drawing near, and they're coming up. Their plowshares are being beaten into swords, pruning hooks, This is exciting. These are the scriptures that we read all the time. And yet we're seeing more and more build-up to World War III. But, like everything else, though, well, what are the hidden articles, right? Because, of course, like everything else, though, while that's going on, and that's pretty exciting, World War III breaking out, the U.S. sending more troops in, as well as their warships into, Southeast Asia, to safeguard the Israeli state, who instigated this war. Because everybody knows that them Amalekites are the ones that are starting these wars, And like everything else, though, that's pretty exciting. But what's happening is that the digital ID is being rolled out. You see, while there's other headlines going on, well, that means that also the MOTB is getting closer. So digital ID being rolled out, especially in the state of Ohio, which a lot of states will follow. As this brother goes into, which, GMS Watchman, might have another handle, but I think he's still called GMS Watchman, as he's going into here,
Heading towards. It says Ohio becomes the 5th U.S. state to recognize IDs in Apple Wallet. 24 other states are considering the use of mobile digital licenses.
Digital driver's license, digital IDs.
Is that the American government, through their various different states, they're getting people used to not using their physical ID. Alright?
It's all gradualism.
State ID. What's happening right now is that the American government are slowly but surely ushering in the digital system. Alright? Especially as it pertains to the digital wallet, which ultimately your digital wallet is going to come in the form of the microchip implant. This is
exactly, that's what we've been telling you from day one.
What the Apostle John saw in his vision around 2,000 years ago, recorded in Revelation 13:16, in regards to the mark of the beast. Okay, the mark being the microchip implant. The beast that the Apostle John saw was symbolic for the revival of Esau's ancient Roman Empire. Esau being the sole white man, okay, that was ruling over 2,000 years ago as the Greeks and the Romans. And they're back here today, or I should say their power system, their Greco-Roman Empire is back here today in the form of NATO, the European Union, being spearheaded by America. Alright, that's what.
Because America is Rome, goes back to ancient Rome. Ancient Rome, well, that's dissolved, but the new Rome has been Babylon the Great, America. So that's how they rule now. That's how they get down. And, well, we already know what the beast is, And we know that that's, that NATO is the 7 heads and that EU is the 10 nations. See, 7 heads and 10 horns. So we know that surely but surely it's going to come to pass, that you're not going to be able to buy or sell save he that has it. Right now it's all gradualism leading up to it, but people you know, eventually are not going to even need physical cards anymore. You know, they got you used to the microchip with the, you know, cards with your Chase card, your, you know, ATM card, you know, and you can just tap it now. You don't even have to even insert the chip anymore. You can just tap it in many places, right? And then that's your whole credit system. That's your implant. But now they're getting you used to the idea of not even having to do that anymore. You know, China already has a system where you just pay with your phone, digital ID, and a lot of things you're doing is just digital anyways. You know, you digitally pay your bills now online. You know, they've gotten you used to that. So this is a next step to where, okay, you know, now I don't have to open up my wallet anymore. You know, I can just walk in and I'm already digitally, you know, tracked, digitally, you know, in the system. You know, digital ID, meaning that you don't even got to pull out your wallet anymore. You don't even got to pull out your phone anymore. You're digitally tracked for your every movement. What do you think Real ID was really leading towards, right? ID 2020, etc. Well, this is 2024, you know, because again, you know, it's slowly but surely coming to pass that, you know, they're going to make sure you have to have a digital ID. What do you think the other passport was made for, right? You know, to check and make sure that your inoculations are up to date. Well, because they were developing the system, right, to be able to track your every movement. Be able to tell, okay, well, you need to get your updated shots, you know. And that's just it. That was just the beginning of things, right? Because they're always able to guide things through the healthcare system, which they already showed you. They gave you a little spoiler alert with Obamacare, you know, because Obamacare, you know, actually gave you a spoiler alert. That's why they had to reword everything, because a lot of people caught on to it. You know, a lot of them Bible Belt thumpers, you know, they caught on to it. Perry Stone did a whole video on the whole MOTB being the microchip. Paul Bagley did a whole thing on MOTB being the microchip. But a lot of these, you know, Prophecy Club, etc. But a lot of these places just learned what we were teaching, right? Hey, we here at Great Millstone, we've been teaching that for a long time, that the implant, you know, the micro C-hip implant is what's going to, is what is the MOTB. So it's not like those guys had all of a sudden discovered it. It was already there. And it was in the Obamacare bill. I mean, Paul Bagley made famous videos on it, right? What? Are you serious? What? You know? Wait a minute. HR 3200, which they later became HR 3590, and then eventually HR 3960, where you would have to have a Type 2 identification device or a Type 3 medical device, but it would be implanted, you know, and that was in the bill, you know, pages 1501 through 1506. I actually seen the document myself and read it. It's in the Obamacare bill. So it was slipped in through the healthcare system, and so 2020 was not a surprise to us. You know, we in the know, we the elect know, and said, okay, you know, yeah, get the whole world to lock down and to conform to these newer rules, the new normal. Remember, that's what it was called, the new normal. You know, yeah, there would be an unlock, but things would never go back to the way they were. No, because this system would be in place. You know, that was all gradualism. Well, we knew that the inoculations was just the beginning of things getting kickstarted. And we know that there was nanoparticles found, you know, within that system, right? Well, that was getting everything ready. Can't go into this too much if I'm going to stay on YouTube. But nonetheless, though, it was a gradualism. It was gradually leading towards what's going to be mandatory very soon. A digital ID, a digital wallet, you know. Hey, Nancy Pelosi gave you a spoiler alert when she said that, you know, well, we have to have a digital wallet if we're going to send out those stimulus checks. You know, that we would have to send in the form of digital wallet. Remember the first $2,000 check, which was reduced to $1,200, by the way. But remember that first check was reduced to $1,200, but Nancy Pelosi said that they needed a digital wallet, that they wanted to bring in the form of digital wallet. Now that's all you hear about is central bank digital currencies, digital wallet. It's on your Chase app if you want your digital wallet, you know. So we all know why Bitcoin was launched, you know. Is that going to be the main system? Well, it's one of them, but that was a beta test run, just like everything else is a beta test run. But soon they're going to require it. They're going to require everybody to have a digital ID. That those ID cards that you have, they're not going to be any good anymore. Yeah, those ATM cards that you have, they're not going to be good anymore. You're going to have to get with the new system. You're going to have to get down with the new system. Those ain't going to work anymore. That's eventually going to come. That's what's happening behind the scenes. So, we look for articles like that where they're implementing that. Like, we were the first on top of it when Whole Foods decided to, make it mandatory that you had to download an app in order to even get into the store. You had to have this digital app. And there's a lot of places like that. Well, you could even talk about your common places, right? Like Starbucks. I wanted to go to Starbucks. Hey, there's a person right there. One of those little Starbucks, but they were only taking digital apps. So if you had it digitally on an app, then you could get in. Even your $5 little fucking, because I wanted to get some coffee that day. Well, that wasn't going to work. I had to have the app on my phone. So all I had was a $5 gift card. I mean, how are you going to apply a $5 gift card into your digital app and all that? That takes some time to program and all that. All I wanted was a fucking cup of coffee, right? But that's what they do, right? With everything. You can name it. You can name it Denny's, etc., right? You have to have the digital app. Okay, I might be exaggerating with Denny's, but all of it's going to eventually be digital. It's going to be just like that, And you're seeing a downsize in restaurants, right? I mean, what? If it's just you and your wife and you just want to get a couple burger meals, that's going to cost you more than it would to go to Costco and get a pizza. Or go to I can name some other ones, like Domino's to get a pizza. Or you go to, maybe you might want to go to Little Caesars and get a pizza. It's cheaper than going out to Burger King or McDonald's or whatever now, Don't get me even started on how much the chicken costs, because that's always been expensive. But you see, that's just it. It's that chicken, beef, all that. The things that are lawful has become high cost, but yet things like Spam, ham, all that has become cheaper. And they hide this stuff within bacon and etc., right? To get you to sin, to get you to fall off. Well, that's if, to the rest of the world, they don't even know that they're in sin, right? Because, they're going to the false prophet, right? They're going to the 501c3 church. I'm not even sure IUIC tells you not to eat pork, because they are so much like the 501c3 church. They'll probably just tell you that everything's okay. You can just go back to eating pork and everything else, man. Got ham sandwiches, etc., right? For the Sabbath? Or was it for the Passover? Oh, lots of sin there, right? Yeah, it's a party to them, right? Let's go to the party house. Let's have some prime rib, not prime rib, but, let's have some fucking, pork chops and some ham. That's how far these, once with one West, how far they have strayed. But Esau had a plan for that, right? But you see, we're not all going to be teaching the same thing, right? A lot of us is going to actually continue teaching the truth. That's a small remnant, but the rest of them are just going to teach whatever they want to teach, right? So it's more than obvious, that indeed, that they're just, pretty much following what Esau tells them. And a lot of them are telling you that Edomites, they can be saved, so you got to pray for Esau now, I mean, that's the rhetoric that's going on, right? You got to pray for your enemy, Esau. Well, isn't that the shit you grew up with in the 501c3 church? Isn't that the same thing with plantation Christianity? That they tell you got to love your brother, that everybody that oppresses you is your brother? Right? Christian brotherly love. Hey, that's what they're teaching now with these false camps. And you can tell that those are just set up by Esau Edom. They took a bribe, No different than Judas Iscariot, which is a name to be renowned. Because it's happening now, as it happened 2,000 years ago, because you are who you were then is who you are now. See, the Most High had a remnant that was going to get it, that these things were going to click, and they were going to get it before that time. We never seen salvation after Yahushua died. The salvation he was spoken of was a future tense, but now it's a not too distant tense. See, like anything else, though, it's not such a distance. All those times that we died before, of course we didn't see salvation. Of course we weren't saved from nothing because the destruction hadn't come yet. That wouldn't come until 2,000 years later. But now that you see all the men of war drawing near and getting gathered there in that valley, well, now you know that it is coming. So like everything else, so there was a remnant that was meant to be spared from that destruction, and the rest were meant to be cast into that lake of fire, which is when America, Babylon the Great, will be burned by fire, by them nuclear missiles, which will be launched by the four quarters of the earth, but it's mostly going to hit America, Babylon the Great. And we can see that, indeed, the least of the flock, Amalek, is going to draw them in. U.S. forces are already being brought into Israeli state right now, as terror groups, to back up the Israeli state. So in case Iran launches their attack, because last time they went through the Iron Dome system like it was nothing. They were able to get past through it. The Iron Dome system is not what they portrayed to the world, that it's this great interception system. That was taken out and no problem. So everybody's on call right now, waiting for how Iran will respond. They will respond. But if they're anything like Russia, they're going to respond, when nobody else is expecting them to, right? But there will be retaliation. You can best believe that. I mean, the pressure's getting there for the Iran to respond. Because Beirut, Hezbollah has already responded. The Houthis have been responding, So it's just a matter of time, Again, we also know that the strongest navy in the world is Iran, is Persia, And not to mention, of course they got permission from Magog, but if you know anything about Vladimir Putin, he's a very skillful chess player. Well, he's put into place by the Most High. You see, we're just actors in the movie, really. I mean, we're meant to serve the Most High either on the left or on the right. So these that serve on the left, well, there's regular roles, and then there's very important roles. And Vladimir Putin serves a very important role on the left, And he's going to be the one that brings America to its destruction. I just don't see any other leader of Magog rising up. Although, I have to admit, though, that the Israeli state has carried out a lot of assassinations as of late. They killed Iran's leader just a few months ago, although they don't claim it as an assassination. The helicopter crash, it took out the IRGC commander as well as the president of Iran. Both were killed, Both were killed at the same time. But they just said it was a helicopter crash because of fog. Yeah, right. It was a Mossad assassination. They're just not telling you that it is, but we know who's doing it. Then you have all these recent ones, and then not to mention the 2020 Samini execution, carried out by Donald Trump himself. And that's another thing that they control. It was Benjamin, not a Jew, that told Biden to step down and for Harris to rise, that it's time for Harris to rise. So we're going to see a shit show of debate between Harris and Trump very shortly here. And that's going to be funny as hell. But we already know what Harris represents. LGBTQ+, pedophiles. We're going to see trans testicles, kind of like what you've seen at the Olympics. We're going to see more and more mockery of the Most High. You can see that with her facial gestures. You can see that with everything, that she mocks the Most High. Well, that she's Eve, And like everything else, though, she's portraying herself as a black woman, but, she is an Israelite. Make no mistake about it. She's a 2/3 Israelite, but she is married to Amalek, so you may as well call her Amalek. So she's going to be pushing all the wicked agendas. See, like everything else, though, we know who she is. So we're not fooled by her. We're not going to be spoofed like a lot of people were with Obama, and his charm, yes, we can. Thank you, Satan. We're not going to be charmed with that. Yeah, if you say the words, yes, we can, you can play it back and it will sound like, thank you, Satan. They have a lot of doublespeak like that. And you can just tell that, there's just nothing but wickedness, bad intentions. But the Israeli prime minister, which is just one of the many that they have in power, he's the one that's really guiding the U.S. into the war, drawing everyone in. Benjamin, not a Jew, is not just the prime minister of the Israeli state, but really runs the U.S. You can see how everybody bows down to Benjamin, not a Jew, when he comes to D.C. You can see all the cronies, all these neocons bow down to him the moment that he makes his step on stage. Oh no, Iran's going to get a bomb. And they follow in with the rhetoric. Well, Iran's the greatest of the terrorists. They compare Iran to ISIS, which ISIS they created themselves. See, the U.S. Created ISIS. Well, the Israeli state really did. But nonetheless, though, but they do everything to blame it on Iran. Everything's about blaming Iran because, that's the last of the countries that they wanted to go for, as Wesley Clark had pointed out, that, there's 7 countries they're going to go for, and Iran was on the last of the list. Even the new leader of Iran talked about that, just after the assassination was carried out, because he was speaking in English, if you watched it on Press TV. Well, it's on my channels on, I think I did manage to get some of that on YouTube, but it's definitely on BitChute and Rumble and Odysee, There are just certain things that I take out when I'm on YouTube, but I've managed to stay on, surprisingly, because I know what the buzzwords are, so I just do everything I can to just, keep it legal, right? Not giving them, but that doesn't mean that my videos ain't going to come down. That doesn't mean that I may not receive strikes. It just means that, I'm just trying to be a lot more wise about this, on the things I talk about that I might just save for those others. Because I've been running, I never stopped teaching. I've been teaching, I still come out here every week, doing lessons, and I still do my sit-down lessons at home, and I still look at articles. It's just that, those were areas that I thought was too hot for YouTube until that started to die down a little bit because, man, I was getting flagged. All my videos were coming down, so I just had to find another avenue. I found those 3 other avenues. And a lot of us had figured that out, Once we figured out the system, though, we knew how to, change it around, we had other words to use. But like everything else, though, that time, that everyone knows that they've been duped. Everybody knows that, that is the elect. The rest of the world, they're still wearing, a lot of them still wear masks. A lot of them are afraid of the next new strain. A lot of them are afraid of that, but they're not afraid of nuclear war. Man, you just you start talking about nuclear war, and you start talking about all the things lining in place leading towards a nuclear war. They're just totally bliss to it, especially Israelites, right? That is the 2/3. They're just totally bliss to it. They don't ever think that's going to happen. Oh yeah, they've been talking about that for years. Because you can see how much Kamala Harris really fucking hates, the Bible. She hates the Most High. You can just tell that with everything that she's about, and that's all done on purpose, you see, because them Amalekites, well, they already know that they're not the Most High's chosen people, but they put on a show for everyone, right? But yet, who celebrates Christmas? Who celebrates Thanksgiving, right? Them Amalekites, they just call it something else. Oh, I thought that they don't worship Jesus the Messiah, right? But yet you see them breaking their customs all the time, and you see them eating because I know my dad was married to an Amalekite, and guess what? They celebrated Christmas, they celebrated all those things, right? Like, oh well, yeah, we celebrate Hanukkah, we celebrate this too, but we already know that Jesus was not the Messiah. They'll tell you that, but yet they'll still celebrate Christmas and all that. Oh well, we believe in this and we believe in that. A real Israelite is not going to compromise where they stand on these things, right? So you can tell that they're not the real ones, And nonetheless, though, we know who those imposters are, And they own everything, They fucking own everything. My my stepmom and her family, they own quite a few buildings in San Francisco. Ever hear the name Bessie Schumann? Yeah, also known as Bubby. Man, she owned a lot of shit there, and it was passed on to her grandchildren. I mean, they were rich. Of course they are. They never really had to struggle and all that. But Phyllis, who was married to my dad, well, she, however, though, was cut off. See, she liked to gamble and all that. That's how she met my dad. My dad was always, kind of a swinger and just kind of, knew how to play. And that's how they met, She was actually the other woman. My dad was having an affair with her, and that's how she eventually would become my stepmom. So I know quite a bit about Amalek just from my experiences, And like everything else, though, yeah, they break their traditions, right? They have pate going on. Pate is made of pork. It's like, wait a minute, where's the customs, Wait a minute, you celebrate Christmas, but you say you don't believe in the Messiah, which at that time, of course, I wasn't raised in this truth. We were never raised in this truth. That would only come out later, but, they don't believe in JC, right? But they still eat pork and all that. I thought you kept to your customs, right? Because what were we taught in 501c3 church? Oh, that Jesus, or that, that JC, he made everything, good, that you could eat whatever the fuck you want. It's like, well, why would they believe that if they don't believe in JC? Didn't make a lot of sense. You see how all that confusion is? That confusion comes from the city of confusion, which is also known as Babylon. You see? We were not taught the ways of Yahweh Shai at all. We were taught the false prophet, which basically says once saved, always saved, right? So that's what we were taught. And we were taught that Jews don't believe in the Messiah, which they called JC at the time. Do you see? Eventually, the elect of us, we would figure that out. Because there's been others, Abba Bibbins had already gone out, which is the spirit of Elijah, the prophet, had already gone out. And it's been taught for quite some time who the real Israelites are. And eventually, it was taught that there would be Israelite foreigners, those that did not look like Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but yet go back to being part of the 12 tribes, because we've been scattered among the nations, so we're not always going to look like the other nations. Because I just told you that my dad, who's kind of a card player and just kind of, I would come out of that. I mean, my dad was married quite a few times. I'm not saying, well, yeah, I can say it. Papa was a Rolling Stone. That's a song about Jake right there. Because we love women, right? So Papa was a Rolling Stone, so wherever he laid his hat was his home, right? So, yeah, I'm one of the 4 children, but different mothers, That's a story in itself, but nonetheless, though, my dad, was in the military, 20 years served, but, I would come out of that, I would come out of plantation Christianity, and, like I said before, my stepmom, she just, she believed in a lot of things. She believed in Moses, and she said, well, it's not that JC didn't teach anything, we just don't believe he's the Messiah. We're still waiting on the Messiah, is what she said. She wasn't a traditional follower anyways, because a lot of them aren't. They don't even stick to their traditions, But Phyllis, she was kind of an outcast with her family anyways, right? So you think, but they had to borrow from their mother, right? Their father was actually kind of cool. And I'm almost believing that he might have been Israelite foreigner guys, because there's a lot of them that, yes, the Israelite bloodline would run through Amalek in the essence of, okay, the father goes back to being a Jake, but still mated with Amalek, duh. I mean, I just told you that my stepfather, my father, was with Amalek. They didn't have any children together, but nonetheless, though, that happens, right? And so I believe Paul Simon and Neil Diamond and a whole bunch of them, who actually have roots and all that, really go back to being Jake. But that's another time and another place. But that's just it, though, is that the real ones, the Israelite foreigners, the ones that would get this, well, there's going to be a lot of them. This is going to click and this is going to make sense. And they would repent and come back to the Most High. And that's how I came into this, because I knew that the words that were being spoken were the actual truth. It all makes sense. It all started to click. Well, that's probably because I was part of the first fruits to begin with. I say hopeful elect because I don't know how this is going to play out. But, I study to make sure that my call for election is sure. So what is, if you are one of those prophets, what are they going to do? They're going to continue to prophesy until the end comes. And we can see that the men of war are drawing near in that valley, right? And that plowshares are being beaten into swords, and at the least the flock is drawing everyone in. So we can see that's there, and we can see that slowly but surely it's going to come to pass. That you will not be able to buy or sell save ye that has the implantable micro C-hip. That without that digital ID, you're not going to be able to do anything anymore. Everything's going to become digitalized very soon. You don't see it happening? Well, it is happening. It's all happening, and it's happening rapidly. Rapidly, everything's going through gross changes to where it's like, oh, well, that's not going to work anymore. What? I have to have an app in order to get in here? That's already been seen with Whole Foods, And we're on that. Whenever we catch articles like that, we catch that because we know that those are preludes. Those are, things leading up to. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. You have power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? So you don't want to conform to the new world order, the new normal. You don't want to be a part of that system. well, they're going to come after you. And it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. What is that mark? What is that MOTB? The microchip implant. You know, it's coming. I meant to say micro C-hip, but there it is. That no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And the free, they're going to want to be the ones that are on the outside. The bond is obviously the ones that are going to receive the brain chips, the brain implants, because, you know, as part of the bargain to be reprogrammed, yeah, they have that system. So that is the MOTB in the forehead. And that's there. That's part of the bargaining system, you know, to be let out, you know. And a lot of people are going to follow that. That's the free and bond. To receive it in their hand or in their foreheads. No man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, of the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So you're not going to be able to buy or sell. You're not going to be able to do anything with that, you know. They pretty much will have an implantable micro C-hip, and those that don't get down with it be cut off and killed. They have FEMA coffins, they have FEMA camps, they are set up everywhere for those resistant. We already seen what they did in Alcatraz, just over the mandatory you-know-what, and that happened. You know, so we can already see that it will be in full force very shortly, and that's what's also happening behind the scenes, slowly but surely. So World War III is not going to break out this weekend, but going to move a lot closer towards that. But we pay even closer attention to the micro C-hip, which no other camps do. You know, that's why Great Millstone has a 100% truth. So hopefully this has been edifying for that. I'm going to say, Bracha Yahweh, Bracha Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Wa Abad Babal. It's on to the next one. Shalom.